Monday morning. So listen, sorry for the short notice, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do when you got time to do it. So tonight we're going to be having a special session on how to create your own graphics with Canva. I'm not hosting the session. One of my clients, Tisha Johnson, who creates some amazing graphics for me. You've probably seen my graphics before, and you probably thought, man, those graphics are bad. So one of my clients that creates graphics for me, Tisha Johnson, is going to be hosting the session at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, bit.ly/Canva with Coach. But let me tell you why you need to know how to create your own graphics, especially in today's times. 5 reasons. Number one, first impression is everything. When people look at your social media, whether you realize this or not, they make a judgment about you according to what your graphics look like. And I want you to start looking at your graphics, not from the perspective of somebody that created those graphics, but I want you to start looking at those graphics from the eye of a designer. The color scheme, the layout, the flow, especially nowadays as social media gets more and more crowded, you don't have that long to make a first impression. And your graphics speak for you on so many different levels that it is critical that if you can't afford a designer to do your graphics for you, then you need to know how to make graphics that are going to catch and hold people's attention, because that's part of it. We always say, don't judge a book by a cover, but we're human and we're always judging. So if you haven't already signed up, the session is only $29. Go to bit.ly/Canva with Coach, because that first impression is everything. Number two, one thing I always say is if you want to make $1 million, you got to look like $1 million. Can I get a small amen from whoever's watching? If you want to make $1 million, your brand aesthetics have to be crisp. They have to be powerful. They have to be together. The pixels gotta be right. You can't have $1 million brand and be running around looking like Pookie and Ray Ray created your graphics with a crayon. It's just impossible. So by learning to do some of these things yourself, you get an opportunity to level up your brand and have your brand look like the money you want to make in your brand. It's no two ways about it. Beautiful brands make money. That's it. And let me tell you something else about the creative and looking like a million. Some of y'all have had the same graphics up for a year, 6 months, even 2 months, having the same graphics up. Unfortunately, it's too long. This environment moves so fast that if you're not always switching out your content and your concepts, you're not going to always get people's attention. So, this class tonight is a great opportunity for you to learn how to do that on multiple platforms. bit.ly/Canva with Coach. It is a working class. I'm bringing in an outside facilitator to teach you how to make your graphics look like $1 million. And here's another thing. Even if you can afford your own graphics, the average turnaround time is 7 days. So what if you wake up that morning and you got an idea to do a workshop tonight and you don't have time for somebody to create you a graphic, but it's still your brand representation, so you want that graphic to look good? What do? And the answer to that is you will have the capacity to create your own. And that's hugely important because I don't always have time to wait on somebody to do a landing page for me. I don't always have time to have somebody do for somebody to do a graphic for me. I can't always wait 7 days. And I tell you that your time is your money. Hello? So while you waiting on somebody to get a good graphic and a landing page together, you could have did that graphic yourself, set up your landing page, and been on your way to making money. We got to stop, Drake. Look at your neighbor and say stop. Look at your neighbor and say stop. We've got to stop dragging our feet when it comes to generating revenue, when it comes to making money. And if you got the right graphic and the right link, nobody's going to know you just put that out there today and they're just seeing it. Or if it's been out there for a while. But you got to know how to be able to do some things in your business yourself. And if I had to choose, making your own graphics would definitely be one of them. Some of you are not out there on LinkedIn. Some of you are not out there consistently on Facebook. Some of you are not consistent on Instagram. And being able to make your own graphics makes you super compatible. If that's the word. Meaning you're going to be able to compete better out here because you know what you're doing. You got to stop trying to think you can self-teach everything because it doesn't always work like that. Thank you, Mimi, for sharing. Good morning. Thank you, Verlin, for starting a watch party. Thank you, Cardeline. I'm great today. Thank you, Marnie, for starting a watch party. And if you haven't already shared, make sure you share because I try to provide entrepreneurs with the resources they need to increase the revenue in their business without putting harsh impacts on the money you already have. And this is that one skill that the workshop is only $29 tonight. This one skill is going to keep on giving and giving and giving and giving. As you're able to create more and more concepts, self-teach is, self-teach is not only too slow. When you self-teach, you got the opportunity to get it wrong more often than not. So go to bit.ly/Canva Coach. There's sessions out there for $200 and $300. This session is only $29. And I want you guys to not only get in the session, but come prepared to learn, come prepared to experiment, and understand it's okay to start somewhere. I had this conversation with my kids all the time. They think they're supposed to start at the top. They think that they can get away from going through the struggle and the hustle. And they can't. They absolutely cannot. And you can't either. So get you some help. bit.ly/Coach with Canva. Excuse me, Canva with Coach. Because number one, your first impression is everything. Number two, you want to make $1 million, you got to look like money. Number three, it's faster. Faster than you trying to get somebody to outsource it to and do it yourself. And it's cheaper. Take that money that you would have paid somebody else for creating those graphics for you and treat yourself to something. Or sew that back into another phase of your business. And you know what, Marnie, you do have to crawl before you walk. How long are you going to crawl? And it's important, for everything that we do now that has photos, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, LinkedIn has stories now. What are you going to do to keep up with that and keep up with those trends? And part of that is that session tonight, bit.ly/Canva with Coach. Kanika said, true. I make my own graphics, and people started paying me to do the graphics for them. Let me tell you something. If you don't have a way to immediately illustrate who your brand is, what it stands for, and you're not able to do that consistently, then your business earnings are going to be inconsistent. It's not your product, it's not the market, it's how consistent are you willing to be in your business to get people to support you by buying products and services. And there's just so many ways. Kanika said she started doing her own graphics, and people started to do the graphics for them. That's a whole nother stream of income. I'm sure if we were to let Kanika in, she would tell you it's way more to it than just jumping out there starting a business. But the knowledge is first. And you need to know how to do some things for yourself. And understanding what's important, what's the priority, and having a great looking brand with strong brand colors, an amazing brand presence, and bomb graphics. Oh, you can't lose. So Angela Renee said, if I'm starting an athletic line, can I also start a digital business on the side that's separate? You can, but why would you? You know, there's a quote, the acronym for focus is follow one course until successful. Most of y'all following 50 courses. Any business you build is a heavy lift. Any business you build is difficult. Some of y'all are starting at the most expensive, most difficult thing, and then trying to work backwards. When in actuality, you need to start with the most inexpensive thing to launch and work forward so that you can start getting revenue in so that you can invest that in your business. So, Angela Renee, I did a whole session the other night about things you could do for Black Friday to make extra money. Hey, Resume Workshop, how you doing, Tracy? And let me tell you why I did that. Because sometimes if you're not careful, hey, Angel and Brent, sometimes if you're not careful, you will overwhelm the market with your offerings and they won't buy anything. So you got to wake up and say to yourself, what can I do that's totally different from what my dream is, but people want to buy it from me? And some of you guys need to go ahead and join my membership. It's only $59 a month, so you can get workshops like this all the time and build up on them. bit.ly/Canva with Coach. Oh, and a portion of the proceeds, because I have to pay the instructor, but a portion of these proceeds are going to go towards feeding a minimum of 5 families for Thanksgiving. So when you get this class, we're going to turn around and reach out to some people in the community that we know are having a hard time. This is what allows me to eat good on Thanksgiving. Because if I know everybody around me is doing well, right? I'm going to be satisfied. And to me, that has a lot to do with community. There's a lot of people out here taking, but who's giving back? Who's giving back the real knowledge? Who's giving back understanding? when something goes wrong for you. You can't just make assumptions that everybody's life is right because I show up maybe and you don't, because maybe I practice more and you don't. But you got to be able to tell yourself the truth about your skills and your talents and your gifts. And if you don't know how to create your own graphics, you need to be there tonight. bit.ly/Canva with coach. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to give you some feedback during the session, but it's not my session. I may talk to you about social media in its entirety. But when it comes to each little town, I don't know. But I do know the things that get us to that level. I do know those things. So bit.ly/Canva with coach tonight. Part of the proceeds go to help some hungry families. If you or somebody you know needs help, go to hello@DanielleWinningham.com and I'll have somebody reach out to you to get you whatever it is you need. So 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't miss out. It's going to be an amazing session. I'm going to be learning myself because there's some things that I could be doing to move better, move faster, grow more. And it starts with really mastering what works on these different platforms. So tonight is all about you being able to use Canva to build the graphics you need in your business to keep your business hot, interesting, front of people's mind. You're going to always need these graphics. All right. Love you guys. Hope to see you guys there. bit.ly/Canva with coach. Hey, Judge, a portion of the proceeds is going to be going to feed some families in our network or give out a few dollars in our network. Somebody somewhere needs something. And until we agree to rise up and meet them where they are and help them, they're going to continue to struggle. All I know is you could have did me like that, sis. You would not have been able to not clue me in on what's important to my business, and me and you still be cool. So go to bit.ly/Canva with coach. The session starts at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Grab your ticket and be in the audience and get ready to learn how to make your graphics business turn you into a multi-million-dollar business.